Wait about 20-30 seconds. It's way more fun when some people join. What's he wrong about? Dang, man, I gotta find some shade here. This rain. I'll have to chill right here for a sec. Hold on. No, I'm gonna go out. Okay, 10 more seconds, and then I'll start talking. I'm starting to wait about a minute now. I love this mask. It's a Rustic USA. What is Ryan wrong about? About China in a few minutes. I don't know if you heard. I'll check that out when I get back. It's raining. Oh gosh. There we go. Okay. Ryan Dawson is wrong, very wrong about something. And if somebody is tuning in because they think Ryan and I have beef, well, you're gonna be disappointed. We don't have any beef. I don't have, no problems with Ryan. I'm on good terms with him, and I'm grateful for that. He's wrong about systemic racism. Ryan has repeatedly said that systemic racism doesn't exist in the United States. And this is just a stupid opinion to have as far as I'm concerned. I don't think he's saying it to troll or to be a radical or extremist or to get views. And I do think affirmative action is a form of racism. It's certainly a form of discrimination. I don't think that can be debated. But I mean, Ryan grew up on islands, right? So, and I've lived on an island for about 2 years, if you count Okinawa and Guam. And living on an island is so different than living on the mainland, any sort of mainland. And it's something, it's hard to describe. And I'm not saying I know what it's like on Cape Hatteras, because I don't. I've never been there. But just on the islands I've been on, there's a much higher degree of tolerance than I've ever seen elsewhere, especially in Guam. But I think more so, less so about tolerance, it's more so about crime as well. There's just less crime on islands, and the only exception I think would be Jamaica. And even then, islands are quite safe because everyone kind of knows everyone. So there's nowhere to hide, right? I mean, if you steal something or if you kill somebody, you're gonna get caught eventually. Because, you can't really, there's only so much real estate you can run around to, right? Especially on a small island like Guam or even Okinawa. And I can't imagine Cape Hatteras is that big. But, I mean, I would doubt that Ryan has ever been arrested. I would doubt that he has ever been interrogated for something he hasn't done, or arrested multiple times for something he hasn't done. And that really affects the way you view authorities and just the ease in which they can abuse their power. And do I know what, these psychos, these sociopaths are thinking when they do this? No, not necessarily. But, I mean, the statistics are undeniable. When you look at brown and black men, especially males, right? Brown and black males in the United States, and the amount of times they get arrested and just harassed really by these sociopaths, these criminals, and they're just evil, a lot of them, and they enjoy violence, they enjoy power, you know, immediate power, right? Right, and if you see a similar situation in the country, right? There's a lot more, because there's fewer people. You know, I know, like when I'm in the country here in Wisconsin, not right now, but when I go, you know, my family, they know who lives down the street. They know who lives a mile up that way. Because there's only so many farms out there, right? Whereas in the city, I don't know who any of these people who live around here, right? We don't seem to know anything about this person. Eric Weinstein, speaking on Jizz Lane. But back to my point. So in the country, it's similar, right, to islands. And yeah, I'd highly recommend checking out Guam and Okinawa if you guys can at some point. Great places to vacation. But I mean, when you get arrested and you experience an abuse of authority, and you get interrogated for something you didn't do, and held there, and you're essentially powerless in many ways, it's very scary, okay? And it, you know, it doesn't matter how stoic you are. Like, if that's never it happened to you before, you're gonna get scared, and you know, you're trapped in a room, usually a small room, 6x4, 6x6, something like that. You got these white guys that look like, what's up, Marcus? Yo, I'm gonna call you later, Marcus. You got these white guys, these sociopaths, trying to manipulate you. And that's the thing too, is they will use every, yeah, I'm sure he would. Ryan's, you know, Ryan, I think would love to have a convo about this, and we can go back and forth on it. But Ryan also looks white. It's, you know, I mean, he's got some color to him, and I'm not saying he is white. He's native, right? Or half native. You know, and he's tall. You know, that's where he gets his, I think his height is his native genes. North American native genes, right? Not the Central or South American natives. And I think because he can be perceived as white, that really helps. And he's also, you know, he's got a really alpha presence too, right? Not that I've been near him, but just, you know, speaking with him, you can tell you can't really push him around. So I think that, combined with the fact that he looks white, probably speaks to why he says that. And again, you know, some people might say, oh, he's just saying that to try to get views. I don't think he's like that. I think he's got an internal compass that guides him. That's what it seems like to me. But, and that's not to say, yeah, I agree. Especially crimes that don't hurt anybody. I mean, it's just one big racket. It's just a huge racket. Most of them are low-level drug crimes, Mexican and black, and Sean even says this, in Cali and Arizona especially. And it's just one huge racket. And there's a point I want to make too. These liberals, these Democrats, these communists, they don't give a fuck about brown people or black people, okay? They try to manipulate brown people and black people into voting for them by creating this divide racially. And we are seeing that bounce back, right, of like the Jussie Smollett situation, where you get rewarded for being a victim now in our society. You get rewarded for being the one who's on the receiving end of an attack. And we need to stop rewarding people for being victims. Just without question is what I mean. Because there are people who are victims, obviously, in the world, and we should compensate them for being a victim. But if I can just call you a rapist, call you a racist, call you a bigot. Looking at this car right now, got busted up. call you a misogynist. And there's no question about it. There's no debate. There's no thinking things through. There is... Oh, look at that big American flag. Let's walk to it. There's no debate, and that's something that he mentions as well, and I agree, is I get called a rapist, a racist, a misogynist, a bigot. That's it. You know? There's no debate about it. And that's a huge problem, and it makes people mad, especially people who I think have the ability to see through that sort of manipulation, like Ryan. He's obviously a very intelligent dude, and I think a free thinker too. But I mean, to say that there's no systemic racism is just a really stupid opinion. And I mean, he's just wrong about it, right? There's just no doubt about it. And again, that's not to say that white males don't get harassed by the cops, okay? Most of my homies are white dudes, and they've experienced this shit too. Not as bad as me, but I mean, my cousins and my homies, they don't like getting pulled over by the cops. And my uncle too, he's white. This one uncle I'm thinking of, I have multiple uncles, but he's white, and he even said, he's like, I fucking hate the cops, man. And he's like, whenever I go on road trips, he's especially when I'm using his car, he's like, yo man, just go the speed limit. Don't be sure not to get pulled over, man. I fucking hate cops. And these types of jobs where you just have absolute power over people, and I don't think you can debate that. And that's another thing too, is these mostly white, mostly Republican, mostly older. Like, oh, that reminds me of the other great point I was gonna make, which is, if anybody follows me on Instagram, shout out to Quadrex for being a great mod, and I know he follows me on Instagram. Go check out Quadrex's art. He makes great art. Is the one about race and violent crime. Yeah, and it's especially hard for people who aren't victims, right? Like I said, and I think that's partially why Ryan thinks this way. I doubt he's ever been arrested or interrogated. And this Instagram thing. So there's this guy I follow. Yeah, right. But that's the thing too, is he is from the South, but he's from an island, right, on the East Coast. So that's not the deep South, right? That's not the Bible Belt. And it's not Alabama, it's not Mississippi, it's not Louisiana, it's not SoCal, it's not Texas, right? And my Instagram point, you guys are doing great with the live chat. I'm still following him. I'm giving this dude a chance to respond. His name is Mike Glover. He was a Green Beret. He's a former Green Beret. And for my non-American listeners, a Green Beret is one of the special forces in the Army. So we got JTAC in the Air Force, Army Rangers, Green Berets in the Army, Navy SEALs in the Navy. JTAC is Air Force. I think I said that. And there's other ones like Sears, right? Sears in the Air Force, survive, evade, attack, respond. So these guys are special forces, and this dude's a Green Beret, which is notoriously hard special forces to get into. And I applaud him for his service. Just like Janet said, we need these dudes who are very skilled in killing to be trained and to channel that into something good. And I have a problem with what their bosses make them do, right? These dudes, like, god dang it. There's this great documentary. I'll link it. It's called Bud's Class 234. It's probably the most motivational documentary I've ever seen. And it shows you what the Navy SEALs have to do when they go through basic underwater demolition SEAL training. Anyways, back to Mike Glover. He posted I don't know where this happened. If somebody wants to help me out, they can, but it was a situation where I think it was a black dude. He had a gun and he dropped it, and the cop told him to you know, go lay down and all that, and then he picked it up and they shot him. Now that is, you know, that's pretty justified, as I would say. You know, I still want to critique these people who just shoot him in the chest. Like, if you're such a professional, I'm sorry to hear that, Janet. If these cops are such professionals, why can't they kneecap people? You kneecap a dude in both his knees. I mean, yeah, if you're really well trained, I think you can still muster up, you know, the ability, the will to pick up your gun and keep fighting. But most people aren't like that. You kneecap a dude twice, and the fibs factor is in action, right? Fuck, I've been shot at. Right? And not to mention the pain and shock that you go in. So that's a huge problem I have with these professionals who just shoot dudes in the chest all the time. You can't shoot them in the leg? I thought you were a pro, bro. Anyways, what Mike said is he basically criticized people for getting angry about Mike Glover, the Green Beret, for getting angry about this situation. And I think that anger is justified, or at least frustration, right? The problem that I had with him is I had yet to see him criticize any police brutality, police corruption, policial abuse of force. And I still have yet to see him do that. These little dogs. So for me it was like, and I sent him a message, and I'll post them. I posted the message on my Instagram, and I'll share it. I'll share it somehow on YouTube too. And I was like, I said something to the effect of, it would be nice if you pointed out the police mistakes as well, not just the hypocrisy with the people who are criticizing, you know, police willy-nilly, regardless of what actually happened. And he just blew up. He called me a child. He called me a fucking child. Said some other shit. You know, he wasn't even listening to what I was writing. He wasn't comprehending what he was reading. Maybe he was, and he's just racist. I don't really know. I hope not. But if a fucking Green Beret, these dudes are pretty smart. If a Green Beret cannot think at a higher level in these types of situations, right? It just goes to show you the level of manipulation that may be happening in the general public, and how people get so emotional when it comes to race. And I was angry at him a little bit. I was like, I haven't seen you criticize people at all, or police at all. And anyone who blindly defends the police, I'm gonna stay in the street, is just wrong. They're just wrong at this point. They're indefensible. You know, most of the time I would say they're indefensible. So it just showed hypocrisy to me that he was willing to point out a situation where lethal force was justified, which is the minority. Very important to note, is the minority. More often than not, lethal force is not justified. There's a great video of these Norwegian cops, and they have a drunk guy in their hands, and they use their language, right? We're humans. We can we're the only fucking species that has language abilities. This abstract notions and thoughts that we form by making sounds. They're using their Norwegian and trying to calm him down. And they only get physical with him when he gets physical with them. He says, and they say, you know, I don't like it when you kick me, man. Stop doing that. And he stops. In the US, he would have gotten his teeth knocked out. He would have gotten his facial bones broken probably, if not executed on the spot. If that's not like Nazi Germany, I don't know what is. And yeah, you do see it with these conservative military types, where they just blindly defend all authority, all cops. And I said that to him. I was like, maybe it's because you're a white military vet that you don't realize just how fucking corrupt police are, because you've never had a personal experience with it. And that's the same point I made with Ryan. And he goes off like, oh, I'm not white. He looks white as fuck, okay? He looks like a white man, all right? He talks like he's from the South. He's got a southern twang. You see him on the street, white guy. You don't think, oh, he's half Asian, which I think his mother's Asian. You know, J. Cole, he's one of my favorite rappers. If people know J. Cole, he said something to the effect of, because he's half white, his mom is white, and his dad is black, so he's light-skinned. He's like, I think he was having an interview with some magazine, and they were asking him about race and getting pulled over by the cops. And J. Cole is like, I can't remember the exact question, but it was something like, does being half white affect you when you do get pulled over by the cops? And Cole said, not really. I mean, not as far as, you know, he said no. Like, when you get pulled over by the cops, you can't really pull out the half white card, the my mama is white card, right? And same with me, right? People see me, and it's very contextual, because I've been mistaken for just about every race. I've been mistaken for Uzbek by Uzbeks, black by blacks at some points. You know, any sort of Latin, Latino, Hispanic. I've been mistaken for straight up white too. So, but when I'm in the Midwest, okay, and nobody can tell me anything on this because I'm fucking from the Midwest, I don't get perceived as white, okay? And I've even had family members, and they didn't do this on purpose to be malicious. They try to tell me when I was younger that I was white, and I'm not white, okay? I'm half white. I got some Nordic genes in me, right? I'm a half Nordic, but you can't pull out the I'm half white card when you get pulled over by the police, especially if you look like a brown person. So, systemic racism is real, very real in the United States. Ryan's opinion is stupid and bullshit, and hopefully we'll talk about it next time. Next time we link up. But what do you guys think? Have you had experiences similar to that? Let me know. Stay frosty. All the best. Till next time, folks.